Hey guys, welcome back to Previa Alliance podcast. It's Sarah
and Whitney.
Okay, so we are having a lot of our Previa women bring up topics of pregnancy issues.
Yay.
And so it's a perfect time to hit on pregnancy stuff. We
Absolutely.
talk a lot of postpartum, but guess what? Mental health's important in pregnancy and postpartum.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So the title of this episode, it's okay to say you don't like being pregnant.
Well, because it's not easy.
No.
It is not easy.
No, let's normalize we don't love the process.
No.
And we
even if you have a really good, uncomplicated, for the most part, pregnancy, you're still going to have discomfort.
And you can still be grateful for what your body's doing,
oh, absolutely.
for the baby.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, you could say, in this moment, I don't like feeling like I have to throw up every 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Or pee every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Or the fun part of, okay, I'm nauseous if I eat, but if I don't eat soon enough, I'm even more nauseated. That's always the fun game.
Or then when I do eat, I have heartburn all night long, and I'm like a breathing fiery dragon.
Yeah.
And I'm propping myself on pillows, and I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
So, I feel like moms are shamed when they share the heart of pregnancy.
Yep.
And that adds more to shame, guilt, anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Doom.
Well, and I will say, first trimester for me, more so I remember with my second one than I do my first because I had a toddler to keep up with.
Oh, different. It's just,
in the fatigue of that first trimester. And it was like if I sat down, if I laid down, I was done. And then I felt so guilty because getting pregnant a second time, after my daughter would go to bed, that's when I would clean the house.
Do whatever, get your stuff done.
Yeah. That's when I would kind of get caught up on the house. Well, then that first trimester hit again, and I felt lazy.
I did too.
I felt unproductive, and I felt guilty because there my husband was picking up a lot of the slack for things that I normally did.
And you felt extra whatever about that.
I did. And at that time, he was working an hour and a half away from home.
Yeah.
So I really did feel guilty because I'm like, I know you're exhausted from driving 3 hours total of a commute and working an 8-hour day in a school.
Yeah.
It was hard.
So let's unpack this. When someone is pregnant, especially for the first time, you don't really know what to expect. Let's be honest.
That's true.
And even if you do have had pregnancies, every pregnancy is different.
Mm-hmm.
You can be super sick with one. You can be not with other. It changes if you have different relationships during these pregnancies.
Yeah.
Different stages of your work. If you're in school.
That's right.
So all pregnancy is hard in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not looking at saying, okay, your pregnancy is way harder than mine, Whitney's, because you did this and I didn't.
Yeah.
You can own what's happening to you.
Hard is hard.
Hard is hard. And it's not a competition.
Thank you.
And so I think you got to just put that out there. It's like, what's hard to me is hard, and that's valid.
Yes.
And I don't need anybody else to tell me, well, it shouldn't be hard or it isn't.
Well, that's like comparing griefs.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
A grief is a grief.
Uh-huh.
It's not a competition. We don't need to try and one up somebody when it comes to grief or hard things.
So and that's something we got to take away is just, you can own how you feel.
Yeah. We are allowed to feel our feelings.
Feel the feels.
I preach this all the time to my clients. Feelings are amoral. They are neither good nor bad.
Right.
They can be pleasant or unpleasant, but they are not good or bad, and they are not a definition of your character.
No. And I think I know, speaking personally, sometimes when I feel a certain way, I'm like, why would you feel that way? Does that, like, Sarah?
Kind of judgment on yourself.
And that felt even harder in pregnancy because, and I think this is an aspect too, I've heard a lot, especially if you struggle to get pregnant and you've tried or you've had losses and now you're pregnant, you're like, I should be so grateful for this. Or you've dreamed of it your whole entire life.
And it doesn't look like how you envisioned.
Yes. And you're like, I shouldn't be thinking this is like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Or I want this to get gone. Or I can't wait to get past this.
Well, I mean, and I say most moms, a lot of the moms that I know, once they get to about 36, 37 weeks, they're like, okay, I'm done being pregnant.
I was
Get this baby out of me.
Done. I remember crying to my doctor being like, can I deliver?
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't walk. I couldn't sleep.
It's miserable.
I could barely eat. Chasing after Will. I mean, I felt like a beluga whale just rolling around on a beach.
It's hard.
On a day-to-day. Getting in and out. It was hot.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, when you do is any day. You know, so you had those comments.
Yeah. And you're like, great, I'm 30 weeks. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I've got, you know, who knows how much more
time.
Exactly.
2.5 more months.
And so it's just, how do we deal with that? So how do we deal with saying, okay, to the mom that's throwing up constantly, and she's like, this cannot be my next 9 months. Or the mom who's exhausted, who has the toddler, and it's like, how am I going to do this? I can't do this. What can they do to reframe, or what can they do to support their mental health?
Note that it will not last forever. This too shall pass. Sometimes I have to use that mantra when my toddler has a tantrum.
Amen.
This too shall pass. This will not be a forever.
No.
You know, if it's one of those nausea, throwing up, definitely reach out to your OB, see if there's a medicine that they can prescribe you for it.
This is not medical advice, but I took Unisom and vitamin B12.
That's pretty common.
This was a life changer for me. Only way I could function during the day, and the only way I could really sleep at night.
And here's some other just weird, I guess, nausea hacks. Rubbing alcohol or hand sanitizer, because it does have such a high quantity of alcohol in it. Just even breathing that in can help with nausea sometimes.
Yeah.
Peppermint essential oil, just breathing that in sometimes can help.
Ginger. They had like these, it's like happy tummy or something like that. That ginger things that you could kind of suck on. That really helps. Yeah. So, but it's throwing up constantly. That
miserable.
Is miserable, and it's so hard, and no one should expect you to be like grateful, happy, and like living your best life during that.
No, and you shouldn't expect that of yourself.
And that's the thing is,
so I would say part of it is reframing to realistic expectations.
Yeah,
because when you feel horrible, when you're laid out on the bathroom floor, you can say, "I feel horrible. I don't like this. I want this part of pregnancy to pass."
Right.
But I am still grateful for my pregnancy.
And what do you say when people are giving you like, oh, you should be grateful, or, you know, at least you're pregnant, you know, so-and-so I tried to get pregnant. I could, you know, whatever that they love to put on.
Yeah.
Everybody, I feel like once you're pregnant or you have a new baby, everybody wants to tell you how you should feel.
Well, I just said this, you know, a couple of episodes ago, where I don't love how the hormones get to be the scapegoat. This is one time I will tell you to kind of use your hormones as the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Just say, you know what? I am grateful for my child, but I would really be grateful for some sleep too.
Yeah.
Aunt Brenda.
Yeah. Yes, Aunt Brenda. You probably weren't living in the life we are currently. You were back in, you know, the Oregon Trail days here, Aunt Brenda.
I love it.
Things have changed.
Yes. But also you can say, I'm grateful for my pregnancy, but I've also lost 15 pounds because I have hyperemesis gravida.
I've been in the hospital a minute for fluids.
Exactly. It's not easy. It is hard on us.
Or I just, you know, the only nap I get is when my toddler naps. And guess what? They'll probably start napping during that time because that's just life.
Well, of course.
Right? It's like, why would they not?
I mean, that's just what life does to us.
And let's talk about the type A's or ones who feel accomplished.
That would be me.
When they do tasks. And now you can't do our tasks that make us feel so accomplished.
Yeah. Or on the timeline that we put on ourselves.
Or we don't need to ask for help because we can do this. And now we kind of ask for help, even when our husbands drive an hour and a half.
Yeah.
How do we handle that?
So part of it, again, normalize that asking for help is a good thing to do.
It's not a sign of weakness.
It's not a sign of weakness. Everybody needs help at some point. Yes. And, you know, in your mind, trade places with your best friend. If your best friend is where you are now, would you be mad or upset if they asked you for help?
No. You would be like, girl, why'd you not call me?
Exactly.
I got you.
Yeah.
Especially if they've had kids.
Yes. So, and I have those friends where we've had kids, not even necessarily in the same, you know, time frames, but we've all had kids. And it's one of those, we reach out to the other one of, are you okay? What do you need? Can I Venmo you money for DoorDash? Or, you know, if they're close enough by, hey, I'm going to go get you lunch today. Do you want Chick-fil-A or do you want Taziki's? Yeah. Or, you know, whatever it is. And you don't really give them the option of saying, no, thank you.
You just say, what
do you want? I can be by around 12 o'clock. I can do a porch drop off. Or if you need me to handle a couple of things for you, I can do that before I go get the kids from school.
Yeah. And I think I took it so hard. And I took it in postpartum hard too. So when I couldn't do what I normally used to do. Mm-hmm. And there's limitations when you're growing a human, when you've just delivered a human. And it's from how you feel, your fatigue, your body changing. And that's hard.
Yeah.
And you may not have felt those limitations on yourself before.
Mm-hmm. So this is definitely not maternal mental health related, but years ago when I had knee surgery, obviously that was a huge limitation. Yeah. I had to learn how to walk again with that leg. And that was extremely hard for me because I had to ask for help because I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
At least not without my crutches. And if you have crutches, guess what? You don't have free hands.
Yeah.
And so I had to ask for help.
Yeah.
And it was a few weeks before I graduated off of, my crutches or graduated from 2 to 1 crutch.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so I had to say, you know what? Now is a time in my life where I need extra. That's okay.
And
I'm not a bad person.
No. And you're not a bad person.
You're not a bad mom if you ask for help.
No. And it's so, and I know when I was nursing pregnant, my coworkers were great.
Yeah.
And they realized it wasn't like, they weren't judging me and saying like, oh, Sarah can't do this today.
Yeah.
I mean, there was literally patients that as I was pregnant, I could not take care of because there was things they had that I could not be exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And
I would assume at some point too, physically, like you can perform CPR.
No. And it's because you get that belly so big. Mm-hmm. And so it's a phase. And and they knew that. And I knew that. Mm-hmm. And so you just got to change your mental look at it. It's like reframe it and don't dwell and don't keep going down this.
Yeah.
Because dwelling on it's not going to change it.
No.
What's going to change it is how you approach it.
Mm-hmm.
So reframe. Validate your feelings.
Yeah. Yes. They're legit.
I threw up for the 20th time today.
And that sucks.
That sucks. I can't fit into any of my clothes.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those, how have I lost 15 pounds, but I still can't fit into my jeans.
I've went to the bathroom more times than I have drank water today. Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to go out and I want to go have a drink with my friends. I can't. Mm-hmm. I'm so tired now. Mm-hmm. I need to go home after work instead of maybe taking that workout class that used to be my time.
Uh-huh.
Process it. Voice journal.
Yes.
Have someone in the same phase of life with you.
Yeah. Or close to it.
Close to it. Or someone who's been there.
Yeah.
And say, hey, Whitney, this
have
really
that level of empathy
right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think partners, for the most part, really get it.
It's hard because, especially
it's not their body.
Exactly. Men can't be pregnant. They're not going to experience those hormone shifts.
Yeah.
They're just not. And so they can be supportive and they can be empathetic. Can they fully understand how hard it is and all the different facets that come into it? No. And that's not a character flaw for them.
It's just reality.
It is.
So that's why you need to hear it from another mom who's been there and say, yeah, we're with you.
Absolutely.
If you're in there and you're pregnant, you're like, I don't like this right now.
Yeah.
Hey, we've had those moments.
Yeah, this is not enjoyable.
No. And you have a right to say that, but you love that child. Mm-hmm. You're grateful for that child. Yep. And it does not mean you're a bad mom.
Yeah,
or exactly. You're going to be a bad mom.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just go ahead and we'll end it with this. It's okay to say you don't like being pregnant because of what comes along with it.
That's right. Pregnancy is hard mentally and physically. We can be grateful for the pregnancy, but hate the stage that we're in of pregnancy. Because for me, the first trimester was way harder than the second. Just for me personally.
The throwing up, the mind fog, the fatigue, for sure in the first trimester. And waking up every day being like, already nauseous in the morning, that was not a good way to start my day.
No.
Now, I had to sometimes say nausea means I'm doing good. My hormones
are doing what they're supposed to do.
Because I had losses. And so to me, I also got like a different perspective if I wouldn't feel nauseous, I would get like anxious and be like, is something wrong? Because so it was like I was both ways.
Yeah.
I was like upset if I was throwing up and I was upset if I wasn't feeling nauseous. And I remember Bill being like, which way is it? And I'm like, I don't know which way it is. It's everything.
I remember so vividly with my first pregnancy, I had tons of food aversions with her. Tons.
Basil was mine. I could smell basil from across the street and be like, get it away.
Oh, wow. Mine was, I pretty much lived off grilled cheese and macaroni and cheese and fruit.
That's all people eat is carbs here. Like I'm like,
and
if it's a bread, bring it to me.
If you get it down and keep it down, that's a winner. And I just remember when I was pregnant with my oldest, one day I was working at the hospital and I went over to the cafeteria and I made a salad and I ate it and I didn't get nauseous and I panicked because I thought, this is the first salad I've had in 3 months. Why am I able to eat it? And it was because I was probably about 14, 15 weeks. So I was getting out of that first trimester yuckiness.
But see, we all feel it. We're just like, why? What's it,
Why has this all of a sudden changed today?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. And everything was fine. She's nearly 6 years old and she is fine. But that freaked me out. I remember that vividly.
Or when you just start getting that energy back in the second trimester, you feel like yourself.
Oh, man.
But it could be a little too early to feel the baby kick. And especially if it's your first pregnancy until you really figure out how to know its kicks.
Or if you have an anterior placenta.
So all throughout pregnancy, there's like these, from nausea, fatigue to like getting that second trimester feel good. But some of our moms don't if they constantly are sick. And then the third trimester where you're just done and your body's done. All of it's valid.
Yeah.
Voice journal.
Absolutely.
If you can go for a walk and just let it out. Listen to something positive.
Absolutely.
Talk to people who get it, who've been there.
Yeah.
Know this too shall pass.
It will.
Reframe your thoughts.
It is hard today. It will not always be this hard.
Exactly.
It will not always be to this severity.
But you know what? We're going to say it for you. It's okay not to enjoy pregnancy.
Absolutely. Not every part of pregnancy
and
is
Aunt
enjoyable.
Brenda, take a seat.
Aunt Brenda.
And you know what? Just ignore it.
That's right.
Or get sassy back up once in a while.
I mean, blame your hormones. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of that being the scapegoat.
But we can on Aunt Brenda right now.
I was about to say, but sometimes we have to use things to our advantage just to get people off our backs.
And that's fine.
Yep.
You guys, we're in it with you.
That's right.
Till next time.
See ya.
Maternal mental health is as important as physical health. The Previa Alliance podcast was created for and by moms dealing with postpartum depression and all its variables like anxiety, anger, and even apathy. Hosted by CEO, founder Sarah Parkhurst and licensed clinical social worker Whitney Gay, each episode focuses on specific issues relevant to pregnancy and postpartum. Join us and hear how other moms have overcome mental health challenges as well as access tips and suggestions on dealing with your own challenges as moms. You can also browse our podcast library and listen to previous episodes at any time. Please know you're not alone on this journey. We're here to help.